So many developers are afraid to speak their minds because they don't want to be canceled or blacklisted from the industry. But Thomas Mahler, over the past couple of weeks, has been very vocal with his thoughts on the state of the industry. And now he's predicting AAA video game devs will continue to struggle and may even go under soon. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that the AAA industry is struggling right now, that a lot of people are looking to indie developers to make good games, but also towards other regions like Korean or Japanese devs to get their fix. And now, of course, we have more and more people within the mainstream Western industry coming out speaking about how disastrous it is. And now the No Rest for the Wicked developer, Thomas Mahler, has shared his prediction that the AAA video game developers will continue to struggle, and he explained why he believes it. In a post to X, he stated, "It is absolutely not a surprise to me that a lot of AAA studios have been struggling lately, and my prediction is that it won't really get any better anytime soon," which I have said for quite a while now. It takes years to greenlight a project, to write, to develop. It takes years from start to finish, and there are a lot of companies who, of course, have a lot of things in the works. Now, could they, in theory, scrap all of them? Yeah, but they figure, oh, our game's halfway done, we might as well finish it and hopefully make some of the money we spent on it back. But there are a lot of companies who are going to see through all these projects, and once all of those are done, then maybe they will change their tune, but it is going to be years and years and years. At this point, it's not going to be till like 2028 or 2029 when we actually start seeing a major shift within the industry, especially where there are so many activists who are still working at these companies. It's not like they're letting them go in droves. It's not like these people are quitting. It's not like they are leaving the industry. Yeah, we are seeing record high layoffs right now, but they're just kind of being shifted to different companies. It says, I know it sounds absurd, but most of the game studios out there that hit it big were at one point just a small group of passionate folks that wanted to make good games together. And that's what's so sad about seeing the Rocksteadies making Suicide Squad kill the Justice Leagues, and Activision's losing their ways, and Ubisoft's ultimately making trash like Skull and Bones, X-Defiant, Star Wars Outlaws, Assassin's Creed Shadows, that a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, these were people who were making amazing games like Rocksteady. I love the Arkhamverse titles. I think they're so amazing, but they're making games now like Kill the Justice League, which are abominations. And once, a long time ago, they were passionate and they did care about the fans that they had, and they don't anymore. And they're just shells of the companies they once were, and it's heartbreaking. In a lot of cases, they were just friends, and they were lucky. They found out in the process that they actually make a great team together, and then the games they created struck a chord, and now they scale up and become a massive studio. And then lots of other folks come in and demand this and that and unknowingly change the culture and the approach, and then we suddenly wonder what happened to this or that great studio that always delivered in the past once they are not delivering the same quality products anymore, even though everything changed in their approach to making games. Yeah, I mean, this is unfortunately what is happening. I know I constantly sit here and say the best person for the job should get the job, but that has not been the mentality in the industry for a very long time, because companies are focused on DEI initiatives. They are focused on going down a checklist and hiring the most diverse and inclusive people possible, not simply the best people for the job. It shouldn't matter what their race or their sexuality, what their identity is. They should just be hiring people who are passionate, who do know video games, who know the franchises, but that's not happening anymore. And so we're seeing more activists at these companies, and they're taking over. He also goes on to talk about the Beatles. I've compared companies to bands in the past because I think that analogy helps a lot of people understand that we're really dealing with the same issues here. Take the Beatles, they become successful, but now their record company tells John, Paul, all tell them, that they should write their songs. And by the way, now they should hire, this person and that person, Lisa, Stuart, Shane, and Mary, and have them be part of the songwriting team so they can produce more stuff. And of course, these new folks come in, they change up the way that in this case the band works. They kind of change that initial tight knit group and the way that it worked, that dynamic, and then we end up with still the Beatles, but really not the Beatles that you once knew and absolutely loved. And of course, Thomas over the past couple of months has had a lot of genuinely great takes, and this is no different. A lot of people are saying, I 100% agree with you. Funnily enough, AAA has a similar issue that Hollywood is having. They have industrialized, they've made factories and are pumping out products. Sadly, this is an art industry. And while they would love their logic to be a magic mold for the factory to work off of, that's not how it works. It also seems like nobody can afford to take risks outside of indie. I get it if you have a 200-person team, you don't have the luxury of experimenting with new ideas, got to keep everyone busy, follow the formula. And I say this a lot. I think that companies need to have a 50-50 split. On one hand, they do need to be following a formula. They know what works. They know what makes them money, but they also need to have teams who are doing things that are kind of outside of the box, that are new and unique and original, so that one day maybe those brand new properties will become the norm. And then you have this never-ending flow of nostalgic and established products, but also things that are new and unique. And unfortunately, that's really just not happening. You look at something like Assassin's Creed Shadows, and while people for years have been asking for an AC set in Japan, we weren't asking for one that highlighted diversity, inclusivity policies, right? We didn't want a Yasuke. We wanted a Japanese male and a Japanese female in their, homeland doing something really cool, having a story that represented them. We wanted really great combat. We wanted the architecture to be accurate. We wanted the story to be accurate. And hey, if you had Yasuke as a side character, that would have been fine. But because you are making a historical figure a protagonist, you had to do 10 times more work and effort to make sure that it was representative of the once real living person, and they didn't. They put in the least amount of effort possible, and that is why we are seeing so much backlash against a lot of titles like this. And it is so sad because I used to love Assassin's Creed. The past couple of games have not been the best, and harkening back to Rocksteady, I used to love the Arkhamverse, but the Rocksteady that exists today is a shell of the company they once were. Same thing with BioWare. We see it happening right now with Dragon Age the Veilguard. The reviews just went up, and the mainstream media is praising it for its diversity and its equity, because you can decide to go down the path of having a trans character. You can choose your trans identity, which is absurd. In a dragon game, you're going through modern day situations with modern day language, which is terrible. And this is just not what video games used to be. And it's why so many people are fighting back. And I do completely agree with Thomas that, yeah, things are only going to continue to get worse before they get better. And they're not going to get any better anytime soon. So another big win by Thomas. He's got a lot of support, a lot of people saying they totally and completely agree with him. And obviously, I want video games to be amazing again. I do think it's going to take a very long time, but if we continue to fight back against what is happening in the mainstream, maybe one day we can get amazing products made again. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.